This is the Debbie and Maya show,
Okay.
and it's all about Jamstack. So, but there's no questions, which means everyone knows everything about Jamstack. What do you think about that, Maya?
Well, that's very suspicious in the one hand. In the other hand, it's great because it means that everyone knows about Jamstack, which means everyone using it, I hope. But it's also suspicious because can everyone know about Jamstack? Are you serious or are you mistaking Jamstack with Stack of Jam? Or are you mistaking it with the traffic jam again? No, please give us some questions. Oh,
Yes.
we have one.
I'm going to read it out. Does it make sense to proceed
Okay.
with Jamstack approach when your app contains a lot of dynamically generated pages? For example, 10K products ID. So, dynamic pages there with some products. So probably talking about a shop, maybe if you have products, a shop. What do you think, Maya? What is your opinion on that?
Well, I would say it does make sense, but again, it depends on your really use case because what you're saying here that the app contains a lot of dynamic generated page, the product, 10,000K products, right? But it also depends on how often do you want to update the new products and whether you want it to be interactive with user at real time when you update the products, or you want it to be like update in once a while, once a month, once a week, or one every 2 days. That's depend on that. You will say whether you should go with Jamstack or you should go with the normal approach like clients are rendering, servers are rendering. However, in general, it's possible. It makes sense. You can always do that. And actually, in some cases, the Jamstack approach is actually faster and more reliable for such a huge amount of products. Because then you also everything pre-generated, so everything will be much low to the client side will be much faster. Instead, in the old time, you actually wait for the base template to be rendered during runtime and return to user. Right? Am I missing anything?
What she said, 100%.
Approved by Debbie.
So,
Yay!
I agree. It depends on your application. And if you have the kind of application that you're changing the product price every 10 minutes, for example, then obviously that doesn't make sense, right? But if you're worried about the amount of content, remember that, for example, with Nuxt, so if you're going to build a Jamstack site with Nuxt, and then you're going to update products, remember that we will cache the build. So we're not going to run everything through Webpack. So you're regenerating this site. You're only regenerating the content that's coming from your API. So as soon as you add new products to the API or changes to the API, you will regenerate that. You can create a hook that hooks to the database, and then it will just automatically regenerate it. So it kind of takes seconds. And yeah, you do have to wait a little bit. Remember, you're regenerating, but is it better for you to wait a little bit or your users to wait when it's coming from the server? So it depends on if you're going to put performance over just waiting those couple of seconds for the site to generate. I would say always try it out
Also,
and then see what works best. It's easy to test it out, and I would give it a go.
Yeah, I also want to add another thing. And yes, you do wait a little bit because more than 10,000 products is a lot to build. But in future, we're going to have incremental build, which means only build increment, like an increment. Yeah. English word. It means that it's only build whatever you added. It doesn't build the one already built before, which Gatsby that already has.
I'm enough fan.
But
we don't have it at the moment. Gatsby do have that. There are, and I will fight and say Nuxt is the best, but there are other Jamstack solutions. This is a Jamstack session.
Yeah, but the increment builds that Gatsby
cool.
have is still in experimental, so it works.
And the Jamstack is just getting better and better and better. So every year, every month, every day, things are just constantly improving. Like the difference from last year to this year with Jamstack is incredible. So it's going in the right direction, and I think we're going to see a lot more e-commerce solutions. Let's take the next question. Do you have higher dependency on third-party systems and APIs when using Jamstack? How can we make sure we are still able to maintain control if something goes wrong? So the higher dependency.
That's actually an interesting question.
APIs. Well, the way I look at it is, right, you're in a company and you're going to develop a search functionality or a payment functionality, right? And you have these amazing developers and they're brilliant at their job and they're going to create this. And they can still get it wrong, right? So anything can go wrong. Or you can use the company that is absolutely professional in just one thing. So for example, Angolia Search or Stripe Payments, that's all they do. They're good at it because they don't do anything else. Not like the developers in your office who do a bit of everything, right? So if you're going to trust that company, that third-party company, you have to make that decision if to trust them. Personally, there's a lot of people trusting them. There's a lot of work going into it. So in general, I think, yeah, I wouldn't worry about that, because if Stripe went down or Angolia Search went down, it's going to kill a lot of websites. Just like if Webpack went down, right? So you know what I mean? We are relying on open source. We're relying on third-party systems. That's the way the front-end development world is at the moment, and it's the way it's going to stay. And yeah, I don't see that as being a problem. Do you, Maya?
Okay. Actually, I understand your concern about it. It's also one of my concern when I get started with Jamstack, because let's say you have rely a lot in the API and the third party if you don't develop on your own. But again, Jamstack is all about how you. It's like Lego pieces. Lego, yeah. So you can actually have your core system, and then you can choose the Lego piece, whatever you found work best for you. And because all these company, like Debbie said, all these company are very focused, very specialized in what they're doing. So they actually know what to fix, and you don't have to spend a lot of time waiting for them to develop a fix for if something go wrong. However, also if you feel like you are not fully controlled and your project needs more control from your side, then yeah, you can also develop your own system and your own API. It doesn't mean Jamstack doesn't mean that you have to use a third-party API. It just means that you have to use everything as API instead of building the whole web server, the whole thing that is complicated and hard to maintain. But that's again, it also depends. It also really depends on what you do best, what your team do best, and leave the rest for the professional to do it and trust them.
That's they're doing a great job in fairness. So yeah.
Okay, so next question.
How could you create Jamstack? What is the recommended way?
What? Wow. This is actually interesting because there's so many ways you can create Jamstack. Like I said, Jamstack. Okay, Debbie, one moment, calm down. Jamstack, like I said, Jamstack is about how you select different tools, work together, and see how which tool work best with which tool. Because let's say you have a lot of frameworks. You can use Vue, you can use Nuxt. Nuxt or Next or Prism or any framework that's doing static site generating. You can do always start whatever work best for you. But then you also need to use, let's say you want a content management CMS, headless CMS. You can use Nuxt again for headless CMS. Yay, out of the box. Or if you don't like the way it does with GitHub, Git-based, which some of your users are very, it's not developable and find it hard to know how to use with Git. So you can use other CMS, other headless CMS. It doesn't really matter. But each framework has the integration to each headless CMS, content management, on the other tool, authentication, for example, that is also better or worse. You need to try it out. The best way I can say, if you are a Vue developer, try it out with Nuxt. Yep, because it do everything out of the box for you. If you want to do it the hard way, just to learn it, or just the way you can start with a Vue project and build it and deploy it as static site, which I also do in the beginning. And you also try out on the other, like if you're building a blog or you're building a shop, an e-commerce shop for starting, then you can try also Contentful, also Strapi or Premise or anything that you found interesting. Or you can just go ahead and try Nuxt because it have everything inside already. Other than that, I don't know what I recommend way. Just try it, I guess. created, built
I think
it.
that answer was so detailed. The person who asked the question is probably going, "Oh my god, you've just blown my mind away." Just remember that when you're going Jamstack, you're basically doing serverless. So you're able to deploy on serverless hosting, which means it's free, right? So WordPress is with a server. You need a server to host a WordPress website. Going Jamstack is taking that WordPress away, and you can still use WordPress. I mean, you shouldn't. Well, no, you can if you want. But yeah, you can still use WordPress, but you're using it through an API as opposed to it being all in the one. And that's basically what the Jamstack is doing. It's separating your front end code, and then you're able to deploy it on services like Netlify, right? Which means it's free for you to deploy. Right? Or
yeah.
Or I mean, there's more than one, right? Like you can even deploy
Versa,
right?
or GitHub Pages.
So there's many possibilities for deployment. And you don't have to pay for anything. Now, I love when things are free. So being able to get your
put it
up there.
That actually, I'm sorry, Debbie, but I need to correct you because you don't have to pay anything for a small site.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're making money, you've already got the money. So it depends on your build minutes, right? So it depends on how many build minutes you're doing. But technically, you don't have to pay. I mean, you can always pay for things, and if you like. But we're talking about the general developer out there going serverless. You're not going to have to pay. What's the easiest way? So if you're in Nux, for example, you're just changing, say, a server-side rendered site into a Jamstack site by using target static and using the generate command instead of the build command. It's as simple as that. I mean, that's as simple as it goes.
Well, to sum it up, it's go like this. If you want to create a Jamstack, there's three things you need to consider. What framework you're going to use, and what are the tools or what are the API that you're going to use in order to create your project on the front end side totally, which without the needs of backend. No backend involved except for serverless function, which is also Node.js function. And the third one is what platform are you going to deploy? You can choose Netlify, GitHub Pages, Versa, I don't know, Heroku maybe, but all of this, it all depends on which one is more comfortable for you. So I would suggest to try it out. Go to the website of each framework. Get the starter, do yarn install or yarn create Nuxapp, for example, and get all the boilerplate started and play along with it.
Exactly. So next question. Are there any extra security concerns with going with Jamstack? Mainly the OWASP top 10. Are there any extra strategies to mitigate issues from a vulnerability scan or a pen test?
Wow.
I mean,
what do you think,
well,
Debbie?
I kind of don't even know what an OWASP is.
I'm actually Googling right now. One moment.
When it comes to security, Jamstack is the most secure because everything is already built and rendered, right? So you've got no server, you've got no like server hacking because everything's already there. So when it comes to something like connecting to an API where you have an API key, that's where you'd use a serverless function, for example, to kind of like keep those API keys away from the front end, right? You don't want to be storing them in the front end. Or in Netlify, for example, you can store the keys in there, for example. So the security for me is much better when it comes to Jamstack. If someone is still there and they have that question and they want to like basically comment a bit more on what they mean, happy to answer that because I don't really know any problems when it comes to.
Okay, so I just do a quick Google about OWASP. Sorry, we are not the security experts, so we have to Google everything. We're also developers, so master Googling is one of the skills. So according to the website, they say the top web application security risk injection, like you can inject any SQL, any untrusted data sent to the server. Broken authentication, whether we have any authentication that is problem in the middle, which I don't think we have it, because if we use the Auth0 or A-Base, they have user authentication nowadays pretty good already. Sensitive data exposure, that actually depends again, depend on how you configure your application, because sensitive data, let's say key, some API key that you're not supposed to expose on the service on the client side. By right, you're not Jamstack means you don't send any data request to the server if you don't need to, and it only serves you as HTML page static. But if you do need to send some data in your page, then whatever API you're using, it will expose whatever you send. So that is, of course, that is the data that will be exposed. So if you send any sensitive data, it's already your problem. It's not a Jamstack problem. It's actually the developer problem in the whole process. Okay, XML external entity. I guess we don't have anything. Broken access control and registration of what authenticated user are allowed to do.
No problems. We have no problems. Jamstack is safe. Jamstack is safe.
One moment. Security misconfiguration. Not really. Cross-site scripting XXS. Insecure deserialization. No. Using component with no vulnerability. Oh God, I hate that word. So hard for my life. Anyway, no.
Okay.
No, because everything is pre-generated. And the last one is insufficient login and monitoring. No, I don't see a reason why we will have some issue on that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're pretty good. We're pretty safe. I love this next question. I'm going to take it. Can you tell us a bit about performance and Jamstack? Well, Jamstack is the most performant because for many reasons, right? So if you think about, you got a server, right? You got a server rendered website. You're up there. You got a server. So when you go to the browser, it's got to go all the way up to there. That's the server, and it's got to get all that details, and it's got to render it up there in the server, and then it's got to send it back. Whereas with a Jamstack site, it's already rendered, so you don't have to go and convert everything and create a HTML page. That HTML page is already converted, right? And you can host on a CDN. So a CDN is everywhere. Like there's like one just above my house, for example. So it doesn't have to go all the way to Japan to get to that server to get that website. It just has to go up to that cloud just above my house. So it's going to be much, much quicker. And that basically improves performance a hell of a lot. So yeah.
Okay, I just want. Sorry, Debbie. I thought you finished. I just want to add one more thing. When you talk about performance, about which Jamstack, yes, Jamstack by default is about fast. Everything needs to be rendered fast. But again, performance is a very big concept. So if you talk about performance, you also need to talk about how physically where your server located, like where the hosting platform located. The more region they have, the faster the page will be loaded to you. And the second thing is how good you do with your website. Let's say you put a lot of jam, like a lot of run code, unused code, or running, let's say set timeout for 100 to 2,000 times in your application, then even Nux will not help you. No, because that's on how you're coding. If your coding is standard, if your coding is bad, your website will be bad. It doesn't matter how fast in Nux it is. And building time. At building time, how long does it take to build your site? And that's already come down to, again, what platform you use. And that's why Nux improved a lot, the last version, to make the building time faster, because faster and your build time, also faster deployment to user, and they can see it fast.
As well as you can like couple it with a PWA, for example, and then you've got offline support, which is just like, amazing. You're sitting on a plane and you can still, view the website. So there's a lot of performance benefits from going Jamstack with Nux and with other, I'm not just going to say just Nux, right? There are others. But yeah, so Jamstack is very performant for many reasons, and having no server helps. Remember, a single page application, also all the JavaScript has got to be downloaded before the page actually renders. So you still have that, like it still takes extra long, a little bit longer than, your Jamstack sites.
Yep.
So I'm going to jump to the one under the next one, and then we'll come back to the other one, because I like this, especially for you.
Okay.
Could a strategy like Cloudinary be part of Jamstack? Good question.
Of course. What are you talking about? Cloudinary is born for Jamstack. It's to make sure that you don't have to deal with image optimization within your code. Because nowadays on the static website, when we say one of the critical things is about loading images to your website. a static site or non-static site, everything to come down. One part of the performance score is about how much time it takes to load an image until the first render of the image, and then how big is the image compared to the whole site, the site, the container it is. So you can actually, with Gatsby image, with Netlify image, you can do something like that, but it's not responsive enough, because on the client side, you need to have like what device user using, resolution user using, what browser user is using, because each browser has its own best suit format for image. So this is why you need to use Cloudinary for that, because Jamstack is about fast, and Cloudinary helped the image to load fast together.
Yes, and progressive web app in Jamstack, how can it happen? That we have a module for that. So you basically just install the module. It does all the work for you. It creates the service worker for you. You don't even have to do anything. There's like 3 steps. It's really simple. And then you've got that progressive web app up and running. So I would check out the Nux documentation for that and check out the module.
Yeah. I really recommend the PWA with Nux in this case. I tried Chris some PWA, it doesn't work that well. So yeah, definitely you should try the Nux PWA. Yeah, again, see, it's her.
On the clarification, I'm more concerned about stuff like CRSF, XSS, and other stuff that could cause data leaks. So remember, you've got like VHTML. You could use like so that you're not getting code that's coming in. So if you do have a form, for example, you can just put VHTML if you're getting it from an untrusted source, right? So you can still, so you can still, there's ways to still make that safe. So that's not, in my opinion, not a problem. You can use, there's a library as well to do it. I love this question. What is your favorite?
Oh my God, this is awesome.
I'm going to answer first, and then you can go. And I think I know you're okay. You're not allowed to say Cloudinary module because you built.
Come on.
No, that's not fair. So it has to be a module that you did not build. So I'm going to go with the content module.
Oh, yeah.
With the content module, you can write Markdown in Nux, and then you can you have a Git-based headless CMS, and you can basically just like all my blog, the Nux website, it's all built for the content module. You can add view components in there. It's absolutely amazing, and it's really, really cool. So content.nuxjs.org. Check it out. You can have a blog. I wrote a post about building your own blog with content module. My favorite module, content module. Maya, what's yours?
Debbie, you already said. Well, since you already said content module, so I cannot say content module, right? I cannot even say Cloudinary module, even though it's awesome module. So anyway, you should check it out anyhow. But I think my favorite module up until now should be column mode.
Yeah, I think you're column mode. You wrote a blog post on that, didn't you? So did I.
Yeah, I like the I like the column. I wrote the column mode with Tailwind CSS. So yeah, you were writing with CSS variable. So yeah, the module I like is column mode combined with Tailwind CSS, and it's just awesome.
Just change your page.
It's like
from black to white, dark to light, just any color you want. You can make it green, you can make it red. It's kind of cool. I do like color mode. It's very cool.
Yeah, but in general, everything, right? Nux have a lot of nice module, and I love all of them. Any one of them is awesome.
Okay, what can we wait for Jamstack? What is the future? The Jamstack has a huge future. So obviously, think about it. Netlify have the amount of work that Netlify has done into things is incredible. GitHub pages. Now even Microsoft, so they've done the static web apps you can deploy on static web apps on Azure. That's new.
Actually, Azure function is
Azure
very
functions
fast.
are
It's one of the
incredible,
fastest ones.
right? So you can you have serverless functions with Azure. Then you've also got Netlify functions. Soon we'll have Nuxt functions. Serverless is the way forward, and there's a huge gap there. That's going even we're going to be serverless for everything. And I can actually see the future. I can see a lot more e-commerce coming into serverless. That's what I can see. I think that's going to happen a lot more as people take it more on board. I've seen a lot of conference talks of massive companies in Canada that are using the Jamstack, and I definitely can see a lot more people coming on board, a lot more e-commerce. I think that's a key because If you're buying something, you want it fast. If I have to wait, I'm gone. You've lost me. And when you lose a customer, I won't be back. So I think that's where it's going to go. Like performance first. Yeah. What do you think, Maya?
I actually have a little bit of conservative opinion towards this. Well, I do believe that Jamstack will be stronger and stronger. And what you can wait for Jamstack is actually the improvement of performance. Because right now on the Jamstack infrastructure, the concept is there, but the performance wise is still have a lot of concern about the build time, about how much you can have to wait, and how much time you have to wait into the interaction with user. A lot of things involved. So the next thing we can have for Jamstack for the tools in the Jamstack ecosystem is to make sure that it's will be fast in build time, will be more optimized regarding the building the delivery asset, and yeah, it's the hosting faster and faster hosting platform. What the future? Like Debbie say, yes, have more and more serverless function, more and more serverless company, more and more e-commerce going into serverless approach. But I still believe the dynamic side still have a very specific use case until Jamstack can actually solve the problem with them in real time interaction.
I can see there being a mix. I can see that you're going to be still using server
it's
for
already
some pages and static for the majority, and I can see that.
Actually, you already can do that. Actually, you can only do something like a hybrid solution with Next, and I think also with Nuxt also you can do the hybrid solution. With some page was render static.
Yeah, you can make a static site with a single page application for those. Someone just asked, can you give some examples of companies? So I mentioned the company. One I would, for me, is one of the best ones I have seen is Loblaws, Loblaws, and it's Canada's largest grocery delivery site, which basically went 10 times faster by going Jamstack, 92% better performance, and 38,000 monthly costs in savings. So that was one. Another one is Smashing Magazine. Their one, they saved.
Oh yeah, that one is
like
already
amazing. You got Victoria Beckham Beauty, high performance e-commerce site, and that's on Netlify with Contentful and Shopify. So you've got quite a lot of there. And if you want more, I would look at the Netlify site because they have a good few examples and case studies from these companies that have actually gone and built something and done it, and it's worked wonders for them, and they've made more money because of it, because it's more performant. So don't take my word for it, take their word for it, because they've actually done it. I'm just talking.
Well, one more thing I wanted to add is that the scalability of Jamstack is really good. So you can keep it small, or you can actually scale the project in the long term, which sometimes is very hard to do with Dynamics.
Okay, this one is for you. Okay, this one's for you, Maya. Is there a way to move from a monolith to Jamstack, and how?
Oh my God. Well. First of all, there's always a way to move from a monolith to Jamstack. Technically, monolith is a web server in the background. So if you have all you need to do is just to have it export on this monolith into API, to the proper APIs.
I wanted to ask a question to Maya.
Yeah, just in case you're alive.
And I want to ask you, and because in 5 minutes we're gonna end. I remember going to a conference. I think it was a serverless, and you had created. When I met your manager at Cloudinary, and he has created an application that really inspired me a lot. It was using they were taking a picture of me, and then it was deploying.
Oh yeah, Cloudy Batch. Yep.
Can you tell us a bit about how it was built, and if it was built using Jamstack? And if we want to use Jamstack and Next, how would we do that?
Well, actually, for Cloudy Batch, it was a hybrid, not exactly 100% Jamstack, because I'm still trying to figure out how to. That's also the reason why it's still in beta, because I wanted to make it into a 100% Jamstack. but still haven't succeeded in it. Were built on Nuxt, and it's right now it's deployed at the single pay application, and it's an application that you can actually go in if you are attending of a conference, then you will go to the website, you select the conference you are in, and then you can upload a photo of yourself, and then it will generate a badge with your photo, and then you can actually do some transformation, play around with the patch, select some kind of artistic. You can make your face look a bit blurry. You can add some more text. You can add a logo inside. Anything you can think of. And this patch will enter a game called Cloudy Badge game, which everyone can go inside and vote for your badge to be the best design.
Okay. And so when you take the picture, can you describe what happens on the background? Like, so.
Yeah.
And...
So yeah, it's the scary monster. Okay. So when you upload a photo, it will actually it take the photo, and we're using Cloudinary in the background. It upload it to Cloudinary, and it will do on the transformation will go return view with the URL, and then you display it. And all the transformation is done on real time with Cloudinary in the background.
Okay.
And on the everything is generated on runtime. That's what else? Yeah, on the transformation you can play around with it. You can vote it. The voting is everything. Sending the request to upload. Voting everything is using serverless function.
Okay.
I'm hosting on Verso because we want it to be fast. And Netlify, unfortunately, is not that fast. But I actually believe that it's similar because I have a lot of trouble deploying with Verso with that project. I remember I was in the hospital when giving birth, and I was asking Debbie, how to solve this problem? I cannot generate the whole application.
Yeah, you remember? I just had a baby. Turn your computer off and enjoy life.
But yeah, the whole application will build on the Jamstack concept, which means we don't have any server in the background. Everything is using serverless function, and every page are pre-generated except for the user page because we want to have a fast interaction with the user base. And yeah, now the application is expected to be ready, I think, the next conference for serverless conference of next.
Okay.
Of Next.js.
But maybe next City.js. Maybe next City.js you bring it in.
I wanted to do it for City.js. I actually really wanted to do for City.js, but I didn't have time to finalize.
Don't worry, next one. We probably
definitely.
Yeah, we probably. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add. Yesterday, go ahead.
They have a question about the Monolith, about Jamstack. So yeah, I'll just answer quickly because I was interrupted.
Sorry.
So you can move to Monolith. No, not you, my son. You can move from Monolith to Jamstack. All you need to do is make sure delete that web server that you're using Monolith, change it into an API, all the things into API, like REST API, GraphQL API, it doesn't matter what type. It's an API, and then you connect directly to your application through this API. You don't have the middle one with the Monolith, and that's you are one step towards to the Jamstack. The next thing you need to do is make sure that everything renders statically.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much, both.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was fun.
People can still post questions on Twitter. They can come to the other stage. You can send me one of these. It's going to be so tasty in the morning.
I think Aris will love this one better than the traffic jam in London.
This is jam from Mallorca.
Oh my god!
Oh, I know. I hate orange jam. It's so
no, it's
tasty.
not marmalade. It's jam. It's not marmalade. It's really nice.
Oh, okay. Because I never understand why people like marmalade.
No, this is jam. This is incredible.
Where Maya, I think where Maya is, they have more nice hummus. So
I love hummus. Hummus is my favorite. So Maya's going to bring hummus, and I'm going to bring orange jam to the next City.js live.
Yeah, let's do this.
David, you should come here. You should definitely come to Israel. And yeah, I hope I will be able to join next year CityJS. I really love to
Definitely.
go back to London.
There was an idea of bringing CityJS to Greece. Maybe it can be open air.
Ooh,
Maybe, I don't know.
that would be nice. That would be nice. Anyhow, it was so nice to have us.
Thank you.
And anyway, we really enjoyed the conference up
Thank
until
you.
now.
Thank you very much.
And for
I will
everyone
see you
still there,
soon.
if you have any questions, reach out on Twitter and we're happy to answer, especially if we want to talk about Next.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm also a Nux ambassador, so yeah, I cannot say no to Nux, unfortunately.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
you can also
But anyway, so if you want to have any question that we didn't answer you in this section, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at Maya Shavin and Debbie
Debs_O'Brien.
Yes.
Yeah. And we will be happy to answer any question if you have. And yes, if you haven't tried Cloudinary, try it.
Jamstack.
Next.
Jamstack, yeah. And yeah, let's go next.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.